Hi, I'm Liquidambar Girl, and today I'm creating a moss terrarium. Join me.
Liquidambar Girl Gardening.
To begin, you will need the mosses that you have collected for this project. If you haven't done this step yet, I do have a moss hunting video on this YouTube channel. It's also posted on my Facebook page, which might be helpful to you. You will also need a planter of some kind. It should be shallow because mosses don't have deep root systems. I'm using a cake stand. Actually, my cake stand is really beautiful. It's made by Mosser Glass, which is located right here in Cambridge, Ohio. I'll put the link below if you would like to use one too. I'm using it because I also have the clear glass lid that will go over my cake stand and will complete my terrarium. Last, you'll need some sand, just a small amount to fill the bottom of your planter, some soil, rocks, twigs, pieces of wood, anything that you would like to incorporate into your design. It's great if you can to try and emulate the little ecosystem where you found your moss. In other words, if your mosses were growing over rocks, then you probably want to have little pebbles that they can grow across in your terrarium. Also, something to keep in mind is when you found the moss, was it healthy and happy or was it kind of suffering? That will also give you a good idea of what types of things you want to incorporate into your design. I used this book by Annie Martin to help me identify my mosses. Identifying the mosses you have collected is actually a really important step. I'm speaking from experience here. My first moss terrarium was supremely unsuccessful. I had harvested mosses and created this gorgeous terrarium, but pretty quickly my mosses became brownish and were clearly unhappy. My answer, well, they must need more moisture, so I began misting them every other day. After a while, I had to admit defeat. My research turned up that I had harvested Ceratodon purpureus, also called fire moss. This is the kind of moss that you see growing in the cracks of sidewalks in full hot sun. It doesn't want to be consistently wet like most mosses do. Therefore, my terrarium that I was keeping in a low light situation with lots of moisture was exactly the opposite of what my mosses wanted. Time to start over. Spread a thin layer of sand across the bottom of your planter or cake stand or bowl, whatever you're using. Doesn't need to be very much, and we're just using this so that we can keep some moisture down underneath the moss. At this point, you can use your spray bottle to moisten the sand, or you can just wait and use the spray bottle later once we put some soil on top of it. On top of the sand, we're going to add soil. This is also the time to add branches, pieces of bark, gravel, old leaves, leaf type mulch, whatever it is that you want to have as your next layer in your terrarium. Remember that this is the time when we're really trying to emulate the environment that we found our mosses in. As you can see, I used some soil, but mostly decaying pine bark because that is how I found the moss that I am using for this project. Use your spray bottle to moisten the soil, sand, or anything else that is on your planter so far. I removed most of the weeds from my mosses while I was on site, just picking through and finding anything that didn't match up with the moss. If you find anything that is still remaining, now is a good time to pull it out. You really don't want that to be a part of your planter. Now take your first piece of harvested moss and add it to your planter. Add another piece, and you're going to take each additional one and piece them together almost like you're putting together a puzzle. The type of moss I am using here is called fern moss. Its scientific name is Thuidium delicatulum. I will be using only one type of moss in this particular arrangement. I have a couple of reasons. Reason number one, I have harvested quite a bit of this type of moss. Where I was harvesting, there was about a third of an acre that was almost completely covered by this type of moss. Reason number 2, this moss seems to be an aggressive grower. It was literally pushing the grass and other mosses out of its way. And reason number 3, the other types of moss that I was able to harvest, I just had small sections of, and I thought maybe they would look nice all put together in a separate planter. Don't be afraid to take your time and really find an arrangement that you like. Maybe you want to put different types of mosses together. Maybe you want to do like I did on this one and use just one type of moss covering your entire planter. Just goof around with it a little bit and have fun. And remember, there is literally no right answer here. It's all just in what you like. And now, my friends, you have your moss planter all done. The last and best part is finding the perfect place for it in your house, or maybe you're going to have it outside. Just remember when you're finding the spot for your moss that you need to keep their needs in mind. So make sure that you're giving low light to the ones that want low light and full hot sun to the ones that require that. Enjoy! If this video was helpful to you, I do post a new video one time a week on my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below. Have a great week.
Liquidambar Girl Gardening.